This is 2D Tron. I just wanted to give a quick note real quick that this episode went way longer than we expected it to. It was about 3 hours long, so I am going to cut it in half and make 2 episodes out of it, and we'll release them the day after the first one comes out, so that way it's not just some overwhelming episode. But sorry about that, and thanks for listening. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the RB5 Showcase. This is an event that comes around once or twice a year. We go over all the RB5s that the players have worked incredibly hard for. Last episode, we were joined by our Atlantis After Dark friends, AB and Retinas. We went over all the classic characters and paywalls, and in this episode, we're going to cover all the unique RB5s. And what I mean by unique is that only one player has taken a specific character all the way to RB5. Today, this chat consists of 3 out of 4 players with the most unique RB5s in their rosters. We're only missing Dubois, who's got, I think, 5 or 6 of them. And we're going to start off with the man with the mustache himself. We have Mr. Zubaz.
How you doing today, Tootie? Doing well?
Doing well, yes. And then following him, we have everyone's favorite owl, Hawkeye.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Sweet. Hawkeye, have you done one of these with me before?
I have not.
Okay. I couldn't remember if you joined me previously, but have you been in any of the WROL things?
Yeah, I've done one episode of the WRL back when Hawkman came out.
Oh, that's right. That was a long time ago. Shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my channel is fairly free. You can curse all you want, drop an F-bomb every now and again if you feel like it. Don't have to step on eggshells around here. I forgot to mention in my last episode that this is going to feel more like a podcast than a YouTube video. There's definitely going to be some visuals, like all the great art that Silver Fox makes for us, and the names of those who created the RB5s. But since this is designed to be more raid content, it's not something you have to keep your eyes peeled to. So I appreciate everyone listening in today, and let's just get right into it. Our first character of the day, we're starting out in alphabetical order with Alan Scott. Our player who RB5'd him is Dubois from the 1500. This hasn't changed at all. He's been a unique character for, I think, as long as RB5 has existed. And Dubois has had him forever. I do feel like Alan has fallen off a little bit. What do you guys think about Alan Scott?
He's in a really unique position because he's still fairly high on the roster as far as his power score. And I really think that he's still pretty solid. It's just he's just not used that often. I was honestly really surprised out of all the uniques to see Alan Scott on there. I really thought somebody else would have already brought him up to RB5 at some point.
That's fair.
Yeah, I don't think he's been. I don't think he's been super available. Is kind of the issue. It's like he made a big splash when he debuted, and then we really haven't seen much of him. He hasn't been a siege bonus tune. He hasn't had a rework or anything like that. So I think it might just be an issue of availability. But people kind of look at Coda now as the sort of preeminent blue striker. But Alan Scott, with even just a couple strength ups on him, he's going to do some damage. So he to me is still who I think of as like the mystic powerhouse.
I am glad that you say that, because mine is only level 70 L4, and I feel like he's been power crept a little bit, but I'm starting to bring most of my roster up to level 80, and in a rebirth world, that 70 level, it just makes him feel not good enough. But if you're telling me that he does the work still, then I'm happy about that, because he is as ugly as he is with his terrible 1940s costume. I think that he's still one of the more fun blues out there.
He is beautiful, number one. But I would say number two. We don't know for sure, but spoiler alert for anybody watching Stargirl. But episode 1, we saw Alan Scott's daughter make her first appearance on the show. And, WB has been pretty good about doing tie-ins. That's, I think, why we have Stargirl this month, is because the show just debuted with a new season. So, maybe something to look forward to in a month or two if that character takes off in popularity. Maybe we get her introduced into the game and a rework for him.
That would be super cool. Also, I forgot to mention, Zubaz, you got a thunderstorm going on right now.
Yes.
So
Did you hear more thunder just now?
Yeah. If you hear any heavy breathing coming from Zubaz, it's probably thunder. I know he's not too much of a mouth breather, but
right.
Any last thoughts on Alan Scott? Okay. It does look like the Silver Fox has changed the art a little bit. He went with a more retro cityscape to go with the olden time theme when Alan Scott debuted. So I think that's a nice touch as well. Moving into Beast Boy, we have none other than Mr. Zubaz himself from the 1500, who has this character at RB5. I think Bowlesy wanted him too, but just never went for it, I guess. He bought the shards, but never pulled the trigger. Any thoughts on Mr. Beast Boy, Mr. Zubaz?
Sure. I'll be very honest, which is, I loved him right after his rework and was excited to take him RB5. He's a character I've always enjoyed. When he hit his 6th day is when I completed that way back when. And I used him a lot initially, and then he really fell off for me quite a bit. I did start focusing a little bit more on the Mystic side of things. And, he's very useful, but he wasn't like fitting the style of play that I was into. This siege, which I am competing in for the first time since the Deadman siege, I have started coming back to Beast Boy a ton. And the reason for that is essentially, a lot of players are hiding their Spectre behind a Clayface or a Bardo or something like that. And Beast Boy, with his AoE behind a Cheetah lead, I'll run Beast Boy and then King Shark, and it's just 2 immediate AoEs with turn down that are from very hard-hitting red characters. Beast Boy and King Shark have 2 of the highest strength values in the entire game. And a lot of the time, it'll just kill the Spectre before they can do anything. So he's back. He is back in my arsenal, and I'm super excited to use him again. I'm really excited to see him in the Titan show. But this graphic from Silver Fox is making me depressed because in the show, he has yet to transform into any of those animals or any other animal other than a tiger.
Sad about it. That's unfortunate. I hope he does, because I think the actor is pretty good at what he does, and they didn't go overboard with the green makeup. So he's a unique character for sure. Hawkeye, do you have any words?
Well, I just want to point out that you're going to be talking about Alan Scott's looks, but you're not going to bring up Beast Boy's appearance. That seems
also beautiful.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
That is only a face that a Zubaz could love.
Yeah, he is unfortunately. I think most people have voted or said that he is the worst skin in the entire game. All of his skins, none of them look good. His portraits are all terrible. And, we got so excited when it was during the siege, the raid where Grodd was there, and they're like, hey, new Beast Boy skin. And everybody's like, oh man, they're finally going to fix his face. It's going to be great. And then all they did was just a red color swap to make him match the new 52. And it was very sad.
I think the red one, the red skin was actually it's my favorite of his 3, just because they gave him a face touch up, even though he is a little uglier. The weird suit, just kind of whatever with that. I don't. And also, like, I didn't really pay too much of attention. I didn't know that he had a red skin at all in the comics anywhere. But you're right. All the portraits are kind of ugly. I wish they gave him more of a Young Justice feel than what they currently have, because yeah, those teeth are pretty damn gnarly. But I like the comparison that you brought up with King Shark, because the two have a very similar skill set as far as out of turn attacks go, as far as turn meter manipulation go. I think the only real difference is that Beast Boy is more about self-sustain, and King Shark is more about enemy destruction.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the second move for both of them is a major turn down on a single character. The difference between that King Shark does bleeds and Beast Boy just does a buff immunity. And then they both have an AoE turn down skill. The difference there being that Beast Boy gets shields and mends from it, and King Shark does a stun on it. And then you're right, absolutely. Passive out of turn attack. King Sharks is whenever an ally does damage. Beast Boys is just after any turn with just a bonus for Titans. So they have kits that are very reminiscent of each other, and that is actually why I started using them together. They are very effective together, and you might think like, oh well, that might be overkill. But in an age of Black Flash and Spectre, when two hard hitting AoEs can just take them out, it does work really well together. So yeah, I mean, I wish that somebody would fix his art a little bit. I personally use the red skin. I think the giant red whale flying across the screen kind of fits his physical affinity. But other than that, I'm gonna stick with him for now. He's back in full-time use.
Good, love to hear it. Let's move on to the Black Flash from Vincent Young of the Owls. This kid is kind of an asshole. I did do a community poll, and I'm not going to include this award, but there was at the bottom I had a write-in thing like, what do you think is an award that is missing, and who do you think should get it? And somebody wrote in the most bitch ass RB5, and it should immediately go to Black Flash. I laughed so hard at that. I thought it was hilarious, and I wanted to include it, but I don't think I'm going to make a bitch ass award.
Curious what the trophy would look like on that one.
Right, just two butt cheeks putting together. We'll see how that goes.
Nice.
What do you guys think about RB5? Black Flash, does he need RB5?
No, he really doesn't. I mean, you aren't really bringing Black Flash to clear boards, clear out a team. It's all about meter control. He's not somebody I would ever really consider bringing up to RB5. I mean, but at the same time, he's somebody that if you're playing high level Siege, you're using him in every single match. Or at least 90% of matches, I should say.
True.
So at some point, you do get some value out of them.
I was shocked on this one, I guess, on two fronts. Like, one, I was like, okay, yeah, why would anybody ever really need to do that? But on the other hand, I was just shocked that only one person had done it, because he is, maybe Spectre and Azrael aside, especially for Siege, he is like he's the entire meta. And that is who people tend to take all the way up. Azrael and Harley and Black Flash and Martian Manhunter. And so the fact that he, I don't know if maybe it was just restricted by how few sales he has had. But really, I mean, that shocked me. That I was like, okay, wow, everybody is using him. Why not take him up, even if he's only there for turn meter?
Right. Prevents that kind of destruction from retaliation thing. And really the only red you have to worry about for that is Harley Quinn. Maybe a little bit of Cassie Kane, but she doesn't really hit anywhere near as hard as Harley does.
Don't worry about Azrael too.
Oh, you're not on there. That's true. Azrael tends to like, even though his attacks are random, he definitely tends to gravitate onto blues. But yeah, I don't really like Black Flash all that much, obviously due to meta shaping stuff. I really cannot wait for the day where it's no longer about speed anymore. It's about like anything else. Just like a nice team comp versus a nice team comp without any kind of meter manipulation would be icing on the cake at this point. But here we are, still 8 months after his debut, and all we ever see is Black Flash. Any other notes on Mr. Black Flash?
I gotta say, I really like Silver Fox's artwork for it. I just love the big Flash symbol, reverse Flash symbol there in the middle. He's got the Black Flash running with the Mask of the Flash. Just a really good piece there that he picked out.
Nice. Yeah, I like it too. Let's move into our next one. One of the more recent RB5s is Blackfire from Hate Mail of the Owls. And you know, when she came out, she debuted. I read her kit, and it really did feel like she was designed to counter Azrael to an extent. And whatchamacallit, I just feel like her kit was underwhelming a little bit. Maybe at RB5, she is the truck that we all wanted her to be. But I don't really find myself reaching for her. I don't ever find myself like, oh, this would be a fun team for Blackfire to be up against. But what do you guys think about Blackfire?
I like Blackfire. I tend to use her not for her hard hitting skills with the, trying to get her to get empowered strength ups. I use her on a heal team and as like a support toon. And I think she's actually really effective in that role. It is really nice that she does what she does to shields. I think in a lot of ways she was the kit that Blue Beetle should have had on his rework, and instead they just gave it to Blackfire. I think they were in a tough spot, which is they needed to do something maybe in the ballpark of Starfire, but without doing everything that Starfire does. And I do still use her. Hate is very excited about her. He posts all the time. He's like, I just had her wipe out an entire team once she gets ramped up. But not my favorite. I think in general probably a bit of a wasted opportunity.
Agreed.
Yeah. She's one that, to be completely honest with you, I haven't used a ton. I thought she was going to be a raid monster, but having to be attacked by a buffed enemy completely killed her usefulness. I feel like in raids, she might be somebody that pops up further down the road when we get another Dark Side raid. But I believe she was a Superboy Prime. Was when her first raid was. So I think that kind of played into why she wasn't used as much. But I agree with Subaz. I think that it was definitely a missed opportunity. I think what I would have really liked to have seen from her is maybe kind of give her a very similar kit to Starfire, but push her on the strength side and Starfire on the intelligence side. I think that would have been a nice little setup for the two of them.
Yeah, I mean, they do kind of support each other a little bit. Blackfire's heal can trigger Starfire, but that's kind of where the synergy ends right there. The hitting under shields is nice, but unless she has those empowered strength ups, she just kind of tickles whoever it is. I do think she has some of the greatest animations in the game. Like, her AoE is gorgeous to look at. Like, it is super cool. And I think she had a lot of hype her month, but yeah, I think that she was ultimately underwhelming. Hate Mail's in love with her, and I think his new rebirth strategy is focused on Blackfire and Starfire together and seeing who can support those two. and make them a better combination. So I think that's pretty cool that he's kind of doing that. That's kind of what I did with Ra's al Ghul a little bit. But yeah, let's move into our next character. We got Bleez by Du Bois of the 1500, another unique character as far as no one picking her to Rebirth. We were all fanatics of hers the day she came out because we got to see that fat ass of hers. But other than that, there really has not been a whole lot of love for Miss Bleez here. What do you guys think of Bleez?
I was going to say, speaking of female characters that only one guy really uses anymore, here comes Bleez.
Right.
I honestly kind of like Bleez. Like, I feel like if they had just amped the damage up on her a little bit, she would be a lot better. She's one of the toons that has the easiest time keeping a taunt on herself, which, I have a Clayface, and I love using Clayface, but his taunt falls off so quickly, and then it's so hard to get it back on. That's the reason you bring a taunter, is you want to be able to hide squishier tunes behind them. So that's where I think she really excels, is just being able to keep up the taunt.
Fair enough. Mr. Zubin,
as one correction in terms of, you said, do you think that only one player uses her? I don't even think Du Bois uses her. I think he has recognized that she just doesn't really carry her own that much. I know that he went ahead and bought enough shards that I was very jealous of for RB5 Constantine. And he tells me about, making the two of them work, using the Enrage synergy, which is great. But, he's not running that with any regularity, such that I don't think anybody is using Bleez, which is unfortunate. It's a waste of some pretty good art, some pretty good skins and that sort of thing. But, it's that's the kit that they gave her. And unfortunately, that's where she landed.
Yeah, she was kind of a huge missed opportunity just because of the fact that, one, she wasn't a red affinity character. They made her a green, which Du Bois was pretty pissed about. And then, whatchamacallit, she didn't really have a whole lot of greatness in her kit either. She, her one redeeming thing is constant buff purging, but only if enemies are enraged, and she only has one move that can do that. She's not like Parallax, who can enrage people upon being hit. I think that her only saving grace is her incredibly slow speed and the fact that she starts with death immunity, which, if you're up against a Black Flash, it really gives you plenty of time to just kind of sit there and take all these hits, even though you're sitting at 1 HP. She's still doing her job as a taunter while the rest of your team can kind of survive a little bit better. So there is that bonus there. She does have a pretty good health pool, but other than that, she's just not really an effective character, unfortunately. As beautiful as she is. But let's move into a character that we could probably talk a little bit more about as far as usefulness goes, and that is Grim Reaper of the Owls, Brainiac, who the art hasn't changed a whole lot either. I did ask Silver Fox, by the way, to add a unique badge to all of our unique posters. And it's kind of sitting in that bottom left-hand corner there. But Brainiac, the leader, has he fallen off because he only offers us 15% extra turn meter? Or do you think, since it's not in the leadership slot, that he's still useful elsewhere?
I actually can't really speak about Brainiac much at all. I don't think I have him geared past like gear 3. I really don't like the character at all. Brainiac, as a character, usually just annoys the shit out of me. And I like his ancestors, I guess, better than I like him. I like his descendants better than I like him. But in general, I don't use him. I mean, I really don't see him that much either, aside from the occasional bust him out for lead on Wonder Girl. I see him on M4's stream a lot, and that's about it.
Hawkeye, you got anything?
Yeah, I mean, he's probably up there right with Alan Scott as Toons. I'm surprised nobody else has rebirthed. I mean, one of the things is he, like you said, he's overshadowed by Cheetah and Martian Manhunter. But I mean, he's still got a pretty solid kit altogether. You know, he's got his stun. You know, he can apply 6 strength downs and gain crit immunity on his second. You know, that can shut down Arcus. That can shut down Azrael. You know, not to mention the off-turn damage immunity or out-of-turn damage immunity is unbelievably useful. Grim is definitely really lucky to have him RB5. I think he's right up there at the top of my list of tunes I wish I had RB5 that I just don't.
Tootie, when is this allegedly going to air? Like, by the time we get to raids?
Yeah, I think on the second major day of raids. So I think Thursday would be the first episode. This is their second.
So do we think that the art for this one is going to be outdated by then because Grim will have left the Owls and then rejoin next month by then, or no?
Oh Jesus. We'll see what his wife says because she seems to be the pants wearer in that couple. I'm not sure there, but whatchamacallit, Brainiac.
Take a shot.
Take a shot. I do think that he's cool as far as that damage immunity. I always forget about that. Like I bring him for the enrage immunity most of the time for the anti-Harley Quinn. And I always forget that in the leadership spot, you cannot be retaliated against. And I think that like, I'm always clenching my butthole when a Power Girl or an Arcus decides to slap back. And then I'm like, oh, we're good, actually. Thank God. Because of Brainiac. So I do think that his kit needs a bit of an update. Other than his one stun and his leadership, I don't think he is incredibly useful outside of like turn 1. But whatchamacallit, cool character. I'm glad somebody took him up because he's one of the big bads of the universe. So that's pretty fun. But let's move into another character. We've got Captain Cold up next, who was Rebirth 5 by Todd Zam of Knights of Rao. And Knights of Rao might have dissipated. I'm not entirely sure if they still exist or not, but Captain Cold,
they
Todd
are
Zam is
no
pretty cool
longer
player.
in existence.
They're no longer in existence.
He is now with Leviathan.
Is Leviathan still in existence? I heard that one imploded too.
I think I did face somebody today in Siege, or no, in Wraith that was from Leviathan. So they have some remnants here and there, I think.
Okay. Well, Captain Cold is kind of like the Batman Caped Crusader of the villains, where everyone's kind of waiting for his rework to come out. And I know a lot of people were really pissed off when it didn't come with Heatwave last year. And whatchamacallit, I recently brought him all the way up just because I think I saw somebody using him. I think it was maybe you, Hawkeye, but I was really impressed with one of the videos, and I was like, you know what, I need a new leader. So I brought him all the way up from Gear 0 to G11, and I had one phenomenal match where I just had so much fun, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And then ever since then, my RNG has just been shit with him, and I have not been able to recreate the success from that one fight, unfortunately. What do you guys think of Captain Cold?
I love Captain Cold in the game. Like I used to use him all the time in a comp with Mirror Master and Clayface. Now, and that was before that was before Mirror Master's rework. That was before Clayface kind of came back around, but that was also before Wonder Girl and before Black Flash. And so that comp would get destroyed in this day and age. But in general, I mean, just that combo where, Mirror Master is throwing down slowdowns. It makes Captain Cold, stun. Captain Cold stun. Yeah, we'll keep it a little PG here. Captain Cold stun on his basic every single turn. And that was a lot of fun. That was before they introduced characters that can now stun on their basic without needing a whole bunch of debuffs, but that's a story for another time. I think he's great. Even if they just gave him like 50% more HP, he would immediately be viable. But he has literally the lowest health pool in the entire game. And that's just such a strange thing that they need to update.
Yeah, especially since this kit is based on getting hit.
Right.
Hawkeye, you got anything? You're kind of in the speed down realm right now as far as what you're building.
Yeah, I really, really enjoy playing with Captain Cold, but he's what I like to refer to as fun garbage. You're not bringing them to any match that you really want to win. You're bringing them because you just want to have fun and play around. I got Tornado built up, and I love putting those two together. That's one thing I've actually been happy to see the devs doing is a lot of times they'll try to pigeonhole certain buffs or debuffs to certain affinities, and they're starting to kind of loosen up on that. Because it used to be if you wanted to build a speed down team, you're like, well, hopefully they don't bring any blue whatsoever because all of these green speed down characters are going to die.
Right.
And at the beginning of this siege, I actually talked to Todd Zam a little bit because, I was like, everybody's going to rebirth Spectre. Maybe I want to zig when everybody else is zagging and maybe look at Captain Cold. And I was like, so Todd, at RB5, how is he? He's like, he still dies constantly. I'm like, that's the saddest thing I've heard because I have all these shards from him being in PvP packs forever, being in red alerts forever. I'm just waiting on the rework, and I'll pull the trigger and join Todd for sure. The kit's pretty solid to begin with. If they beefed up the kit just a little bit, and like Zubaz said, give him some HP, because it's ridiculous the gap between him and the next one on the list too. It's not even like he's the lowest by just a tiny bit. He's the lowest by quite a bit for HP.
Yeah, they just need to make him into like a special tank, probably. Turn him into a green Artemis without crits, just slowdowns and stuff. Make sure he just cannot die. That'd be interesting to deal with. But
yeah, I mean, I love him as a character in the comics, and I also think he was one of the standouts in a lot of that earlier Arrowverse kind of stuff, and he's a character that I think a lot of people like, so I think he will be very popular. I'll be honest, in the entirety of Siege, I think I have used him twice, and that was both times that it was in matches that I knew that the top, like the leader spot, was just not going to matter whatsoever. He wasn't going to get a turn, and it wasn't going to make a difference. So I was like, all right, well, let me just get the +2, and maybe that might throw somebody off instead of like a White Lantern Sinestro or something like that. But I've played a lot of Siege matches this month, and he's not doing anything, which is kind of a waste of a bonus character. But what can you do?
I'm really hoping that they pull a Stargirl with him, and he gets reworked next month in his bonus team 2 months in a row.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That was an interesting little turn of events that nobody really saw coming. So happy that happened. Moving into our next character, since we got so many to go through, we got Catwoman, who hasn't changed at all in a hot minute. Hate Mail is still the only one to have her. I don't know if she's relevant anymore, but I mean, she does kind of have a kit set up to counter Azrael. So, and she's also farmable via red alerts. So there's a possibility that she could be used more often, but I still don't see her very often. What do you guys think about Catwoman?
Like you said, she does one thing super duper well, and that's she strips off all buffs and then applies a stun. There's very few characters that have that order of operations when it comes to attacks. Typically it's I attack and then I clear, or I try to stun, then I clear buffs. She has the order of operations set up in reverse, which makes her a lot deadlier in that aspect. I don't think that we're going to see anybody rushing to join Hate Mail, but I mean, she's a super solid character. You know, you pair her with any stunner, you know, especially Hot Girl, like Kate loves to do. You know, she brings a lot to the table there.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Zubaz, you got anything?
Yeah, I mean, I do like her kit. I think you're right in that, like, I don't think I've seen her in PvP in over a year. Like, I can't remember the last time that I saw her in PvP whatsoever. I haven't run even into hate mail using her that much, which is unfortunate because I think she does have a pretty cool kit and she's got pretty good animations, and I think her skins in game are both pretty good as well, and always kind of like a classic character. Maybe down the line we get a rework with her and Kate Crusader at the same time, since that is like the center of the whole friggin' DC Comics universe right now. So I guess we'll see.
How long ago did they get married? I forget.
They didn't. But sort of, maybe, yes, no. It's who knows. That the main wedding arc was kind of a bunch of months ago, and now they are doing this Bat/Cat series, which kind of takes place a little bit further into the future, where they have a child who's back in action, and the Phantasm from Mask of the Phantasm is back as the villain. Spoiler alert there, but it's unclear sort of how much that is playing into the current universe. Plus, there's future state and everything. It's all very confusing, and you're better off just kind of reading them all as separate stories.
Fair enough. Yeah, I did always kind of like the fact that they set her up in game to, like, she is almost perfectly designed as far as what I would expect from a Catwoman character. I wish that she would steal a bit more turn meter for herself, or like some out of turn attacks. I don't know, but she's got a cool kit as well. I agree with you. Her animations are out of this world, and she's a hot mama. She's got the sexy little cat pose that she does, and I appreciate the effort put into Catwoman from the devs. But let's go ahead and just move into Clayface, who our unique card holder for this character is in chat. We got Hawkeye from the Owls. Hawkeye, why don't we talk about why you decided to RB5 Clayface?
Clayface, as far as tanks go, he gives you that out of gate agility ups that just kind of make you almost invincible. When you run a Clayface, you don't really have to worry about Shiva, using your AoE and wiping out your blues. He also he cheats death, which is huge. I wish that he could still do it even if he was stunned. I think that's probably one of his biggest weaknesses or weak points for me. And like you said, I've also been trying to build speed down teams, trying to come up with a comp with speed downs that's really really annoying to deal with, and he adds some speed downs to the opponents with his 3. He's just a really solid tank. I probably put him top 3 or 4. I just think he's just too wide open to Darkseid to really be like the pinnacle of tanking.
Right. Darkseid just deletes his ass. You're building him around speed down comps. Do you ever use him with like Mirror Master, who can kind of protect him a little bit by throwing that invis back on him and giving him a taunt again?
I have in the past, yeah. One of the big things I've run into with that kind of setup, though, is just there's some blues in the game that just destroy you, especially with all of those agility ups. Wonder Girl's a huge issue. Black Adam, even though he's kind of fallen down a bit, he's still able to clean the clock of Mirror Master and, Captain Cold, a lot of the speed down tunes that you have in the game. The other thing I like to use him for is I like to put him out in front and then just run retaliators with him in the background. I ran for a while there. I was running Azrael, Red Tornado, Clayface, and Cassie Kane together. So, if you try to AOE, you have to worry about 3 retaliation attacks, and on top of that, you aren't doing much damage because of the agility ups from Clayface.
I will say I have not fully ringed out his taunt ability, so like my agility ups, there's only about 4 to 6 of them, I think, plus like 1 taunt buff. So I didn't get to the very end where it like doubles the duration of the agility ups, because I was always afraid of Wonder Girl. I'm fairly certain that I'm no longer crazy afraid of her at this point in time, but when the day comes that she gets her rework and I'm afraid of her, I'm still hesitant to put those rings in for those agility ups. Zubaz, go ahead.
Why did you put Wonder Girl rework out into the universe? Now it's going to happen, and it's going to be your fault.
Yeah. Well, so honestly, I'm kind of expecting something stupid to happen like that, where it's either Wonder Girl or Power Girl or some other old, crazy, overpowered character that gets a rework and re-enters the meta, and I'm just not excited. Zubaz, you got any words?
No, I think it's pretty well covered at this point. I've been using Clayface just by default for this siege because he is a bonus tune. And I think the devs were pretty clever about including him as a bonus tune. I think they knew that the way that they did Spectre was going to invite Shivas back into the mix. And so to balance that, there's Clayface. And I think he is really the best defense against Lady Shiva. So yeah, I think that they actually gave it a lot of thought when they were putting together these siege tune bonus tunes this month. And so that's the only time I really use him. But he's a big dude. He's a big boy. We were comparing the heights of all the characters on one of the streams one day, and if you look, Clayface is actually like one of the tallest characters in the game because he's just massive, which is fun too, to just see that big blob on the screen.
True. He always makes me feel short. That's for sure. Okay, so let's move into our next RB5 unique. We have Connor Kent, done by OC3 of the Owls. And Connor Kent is, I think he's a B character, but he's one of the 3 characters in the physical affinity that cannot miss on their basic. I think that he's actually got a pretty well-rounded kit. He does need maybe a little bit of support to really be amazing, but at the same time, like, I recently brought him from 70 to 80, and I feel like he is worlds better now. Can actually kill people with his AoE, one-shots people with his basic. Like, he is a special character, and I'm actually quite jealous of this rebirth. What do you guys think?
I like Connor Kent. I used him a little bit with the Titan synergy that he has with Beast Boy. Usually triggers Beast Boys out of attack quite a bit more. And, those strength ups are pretty good. I do think he's maybe one rework away from really being a superstar. But, in general, I think right now he's a little outclassed by Superboy, the not Connor Kent version of Superboy. You're always going to wind up comparing the two a little bit because they are sort of the same character, and I think he's got the lesser end of the stick right now.
That's fair. Yeah. I did recently kind of do some research on King Shark, and I saw a bunch of stills from the King Shark debut in that Superboy comic. And that's kind of a fun little comic. I actually kind of enjoyed that research session I did there.
Yeah, actually, people are always looking like things to collect and everything. And the first appearance of King Shark, which he technically has 2. He has a cameo, and then he has his first full appearance, and it's Superboy 0 and Superboy 9. And they are very affordable right now. And if you are looking to get into like comic collecting, first appearances are usually something that skyrocket in value as a character gains popularity. I think after that Suicide Squad movie, that King Shark can only kind of go up from here. And at the same time, we've got Connor Kent gaining in popularity because of sort of how accurate his Titans counterpart has been. So in terms of like an affordable, collectible first appearance, that is a good place to start if anybody's looking for something like that.
It's a good note to have. Hawkeye, you got any words?
I agree. He the biggest issue in his kit is just he needs a better way to passively gain strength ups, with that being a gate for him. He gains them when an ally dies. Unfortunately, with the state of the star system, that's not something you want to happen. He gains them on his second, but other than that, he doesn't have any other way to gain them unless you have a enemy die or. But I mean, he's got a nice purge on his second. I faced OCs a couple times. Not a lot of fun, especially when he can get going. He's really can be a menace if he gets a chance. He's somebody that pairs well with Cheetah, so he gets those strength ups right out of the gate. He gets that speed boost. He just becomes really dangerous really fast in that situation.
I do slightly wish that when the Atrocitus rework comes, they just give him that third strength up on the leadership ability, so that way he can double tap on his basic and one shot a bunch of people. Like I wanted to make that combination work so many times, but it doesn't because there's no way to get that extra strength up without using a third or second ability, and you can't do that under Atrocitus. So I think that would be a devastating combination. I hope it happens in the future. Any last words on Connor Kent?
I would say last thing in terms of the art that Silver Fox put together here. I love that cover on the right side there. If I'm not mistaken, that's a Francis Manapul cover from the Boy of Steel thing with Jeff Johns that he did. And I've always liked that image where he's got his, Connor Kent's two dads right behind him and stuff. So, but I like his art style, and I thought that was really good use of that by Silver Fox.
Yeah, this was definitely one of my favorite of the arts as well. My favorite art in the comics is from Super Sons. I just love that cartoon-esque feeling, but this is pretty cool too. It's very clean and modern in my opinion. But moving on, we have Cyborg. Our player who RB5'd him is Kinzoku447. Alliance is best of the best. And whatchamacallit, I was actually quite surprised to see this one. Cyborg is a character that I don't think has lost any usefulness, except just the fact that he is probably the biggest glass cannon in the game. His damage is incredibly high, but he cannot take a hit to save his life. And he's also, I know we gave Beast Boy some shit earlier, but I think the Cyborg in-game model is atrocious. It's ugly as fuck. The art in this that Silver Fox did, like, I want the Cyborg that looks like that. I want it to be clean. I want it to be modern. I don't want it to look like his face has been like halfway caved in. What do you guys think about Cyborg?
So I was actually surprised that there weren't more because his shards are just so available everywhere. And, I have never particularly been like, okay, I'm going to go start collecting Cyborg shards. And I have, I think, 2,500 above L5. And when you have a character like that, there's some people that RB5 characters simply because that's who they have. But I used Cyborg a ton in this month when Big Barda got reworked, because I generally focus a lot on Mystic characters, and I just didn't have anything strong enough to really just cripple Barda. And so what I would do would be to send Deadman into Cyborg on Deadman's first turn. And now Cyborg is ready with his can't miss nuclear bomb that he would just drop on Barda on the next turn. And so that was my response. And I would use that for either that or Azrael them out. But to me, he's a one-trick pony. And until they kind of fix how easy it is to get his one trick, I don't know how much use he's really going to see.
Hawkeye? Yeah, I'm going back and looking at his kit right now, and you look at some of his percentages on some of his abilities. On his first passive, 26% chance to gain 1 strength up if Cyborg is buffed. Legendary is strength up +1. So you have a 26% chance to gain 2 strength ups. That's what's known as a game changer.
Right.
I mean, just imagine if Azrael had that, he'd be like S++. Easy.
Definitely outdated for sure. Even his leadership is pretty trash. But
his leadership is super trash. Yeah.
The funny thing is, though, is that you still see teams with like 2 leaders on them. They'll have a Zatanna and a Cyborg, and neither one of them will be in the leadership spot. And their leader is a character without a leadership ability. And I'm like, guys,
the boy hasn't been playing the game.
I think a lot of people forget. I think they forget that he even has a leader skill. I think that's part of it. I will say allies, so. Go ahead.
I was just going to say all allies have a 30% chance to gain 12% turn meter if buffed.
Yeah.
I don't even think if it triggered, I don't even think you would notice. But yeah, I during Hawk and Dove month, because those were 2 characters that I really did love, and I hope that one day I can be as on this exact stream with a unique Dove RB5. But I was really trying to make all Titans comps work. So I would run like Hawk and Dove and Beast Boy. And it was always just a matter of finding a good leader sometimes. Teams are fine without a leader, but you can use them if you got one. And none of the Titans leaders are particularly that good. It's like Nightwing, Robin, and Cyborg. And I was finding that I actually had the best success with Cyborg as like the only leader of the Titans. So I don't know when the next Titan that they're going to add to the game is, or I don't know when the next one is going to get a rework, but that is what they really, that whole affiliation, that's what they're lacking is a good leader right now.
Oh, I completely agree with you. Is Red Hood?
And isn't that the story of the Titans?
Is Red Hood considered a Titan in game?
He is not in game. No.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Whatchamacallit? Yeah, they could completely revamp him a lot. However, I do think that one trick that he has, the super nuke, it's, even though he's as old as he is, I feel like that's still probably, if not the hardest hitting, it's one of the hardest hitting abilities in the game when it hits. And I don't know how that has maintained its position over this amount of time, but I've literally, unless the character had death immunity or damage immunity, I've never seen it not kill someone. So
yeah.
That is our thoughts on Cyborg. Do we have any last words for that one? Okay. Rework it up. Bring him, Zatanna, and Batman Caped Crusader. They all need it really bad. But this next one is probably a super exciting one for Mr. Zubaz to talk about. We have Deadman himself of the 1500, Mr. Zubaz. And you talk about him all the time. You use him all the time. Give us your thoughts. Why'd you bring him all the way up?
Well, I definitely love the character. Boston Brand is somebody that I always enjoy his comics. They give a little touch of horror with comedy and always have really interesting art. So I've always enjoyed that. But he also has a kit that I really, really like. I think his animations are really cool, even though one is broken right now. They broke his 3 at the latest update. I don't know why, but in general, I think the they were in a really tricky spot with Deadman. It's like, what do you do with this guy who's intangible? How can you put him in the game? And I think they nailed it. I do like his moves a lot. I do think there's a couple little areas of improvement, but one of the reasons I took him up to RB5 is because they gave him the permanent invisibility, they made him so that he doesn't have the greatest staying power. And RB5 really solves that problem. He is now 50% heavier than he normally is, basically. So it makes him a little bit harder to take out, means that he's not necessarily dying on really high-powered physical AoEs like he used to. And, the other reason to take him up is like, okay, so you've got Darkseid, who's amazing and has a basic that hits really hard. You have Spectre now, who when he does his basic gains turn meter and 2 permanent intelligence ups. And when you put Deadman on that team, you now have 2 of them. It's like, okay, so Deadman into Spectre, before Spectre's first turn, you've got a chance that he's already has 4 permanent intelligence ups and like 40% turn meter. Just because you use Deadman, who was critting with him. So it's just like that second skill move is ridiculous. I occasionally, not as much anymore, especially with all the new tunes that we have, but I occasionally throw Deadman out in raid because of his usefulness. And I'd say in general, just a really useful character. And the newest thing that I love doing with him, not only is using him on a team with Spectre, but using him against Spectre to steal permanent intups from their Spectre to my entire team is a really beautiful, beautiful thing you can do now.
That is a lot of good shit, honestly. The only thing that I know about, I want a book with him in it, and that was Brightest Day. And I don't feel like I got a lot of personality out of him there, just because it was such a... he's getting yoinked this way and that. I didn't really feel like there was a whole lot there. But at the end of that comic book series, it gets really like in the feels for Deadman, at least. And I did appreciate that quite a bit as far as the character development went. Hawkeye, you have anything about Deadman?
I'll keep it pretty short just because Zubaz covered just about everything he can with him. The kid is just perfection as far as adapting from the lore. Really well done with that. Other than a completely new mechanic being introduced, I can't think of any better way to have introduced him.
I was always curious because Deadman came out a while ago, almost a year at this point, and then Jericho came out recently, and the two are very similar as far as powers go, as far as like possession. And I know that Jericho has a lot more like depth to him, but I was curious how they were going to pull it off in game. And I think they did it pretty well as far as how the two are separated but similar. And I enjoyed that aspect. But nobody brought Jericho up to RB5, so I won't talk about him much more. Anyway, Zubaz, any last thoughts?
No. I love Deadman, and if he does roll around in a sale anytime soon, I highly recommend new players that weren't around back then to grab him when they can.
All right, we're gonna move into one of my uniques. You know, Suicide Squad Deadshot. This was a heavy paywall character. He did not get the 6th day after his rework. He's always kind of been a white whale character as far as shards go for availability wise. However, this month there is a 550 team event that you can farm him on. I do think that there are definitely some flaws in his kit, that's for sure. This is the guy that can make you bleed just by looking at you funny. And whatchamacallit, the reason I brought him up was because I didn't have anyone in my roster that was excelling at dealing with Harley Quinn. And I really appreciated the purge and evasion down on his 2. It was like I was using Superboy before him, but Superboy wasn't like as much of a team player, I think, because the evasion downs you put on her after you purge off a bunch of her evasions, kind of help the entire team attack her a little bit better. Not only that, but it can morph into a retaliation as well. And he seems a little squishy at L5, so I brought him all the way up to RB5. But he takes hits so much better. It allows him to spread out so many more bleeds, and he does hit like an absolute truck. And I hate that phrase now because I say it for a lot of the hard hitting characters, but his AOE can one shot every single blue on the enemy team. Except for maybe Grundy. Grundy is like the only blue I think that doesn't die from his AOE. He's easily crits, especially when you put him on a team with like Zod. And I don't know, his utility is great. The only thing I hate about him is his leadership ability.
Out of all of your
go ahead,
RB5s,
Hawkeye.
Tootie, this is the only one that I'm jealous of.
Oh, damn it. That was literally word for word what I was going to say.
I love retaliation tunes. He has one of the best retaliations in the game. He's a red that, he's got so much to his kit. He's got his purge. He can apply bleeds. The retaliation's nice. The AOE, like you said, whenever I see him on your team, I just go, okay, cannot let him get a turn. How do I get him stunned? Do I bring Kilowog for this? What's the game plan? He's a guy that I just really. He's a guy that I just want to bring up to RB5 eventually. Probably the next time he has a sale that's unlimited, I might pick up the shards.
Oh man, I'm quite happy that he's one of my uniques. So a little bit longer, please. Zubaz,
I'll chime in, I'll elaborate a little bit on what Hawkeye said too, which is like, obviously Tootie, you may have a bit of a reputation. I don't want to oversell it. A minor, slight reputation for emphasizing and perhaps RB5ing what I will refer to as questionable decisions. And this is not one of them. He does not fit your theme at all, unfortunately. He is the one character that you have and that in general in the game that I am like absolutely terrified of, because I know that all he has to do is one AoE, and it, like with all the blues that I run, he will literally kill all of them. And my answer to that has been Enchantress, which is like, I have to make sure that I have damage immunity on the entire team, because otherwise they will all die. So I am excited that he has, at the end of this month, he has that the shorter event, which because I've never brought him up because I just never really had the shards for him, and I think he used to be pretty bad before his rework, and now he's so much better. And he is a tune that I would like to run with King Shark once I get that done. So yeah, I mean, I plan on, maybe not rebirthing him right away, but at least playing around with him at L5, because he is a really good tune and he's a really cool character. I like, despite how I think that movie did get a little convoluted, Will Smith as Deadshot was one of the highlights of that first Suicide Squad movie.
I agree. And a lot of I actually forgot to mention that his basic, the ricochet shot, is really good as far as turn meter control as well, and the additional hit that you don't actually see happen because there's no animation for it. It is a silent killer, and I absolutely love that, because like every now and again you'll get call assisted, or you'll just have to use your basic to do something, and he'll hit someone and then somebody else will randomly just die. They'll just like follow. They'll be 100% health and they'll just like die. And you'll be like, what happened? What was that? And you were like, oh, that's my Deadshot. I love that. Thank God for him. I do agree that it doesn't necessarily fit my theme. I brought him up strictly for the utility of anti-evasion, but he did fit on my Cheetah bleed team with Talia and Chemo as well. And the more bleeds, the more times he can actually physically retaliate instead of just purge. But yeah, I'm very pleased with this choice of mine. I only regret 2 of my rebirths, by the way. You told me that I have a lot of shitty tunes rebirthed, but I only regret 2 of them. So, fuck right off. That's fine. We can move forward.
I never used those phrases. I said questionable decisions.
That's fair. A lot of people, so we'll get to him soon, but there's a character coming up shortly that a lot of people question my choice on that one, but we'll talk about that when we get there. Let's talk about Doomsday. The player, Doomsday, from 1500, finally got him up after we basically begged him to. I think he got a sale a couple months ago, and he finally just bought the shards for it. I think he was only at RB4 anyway, so he really didn't have to buy that much more. But whatchamacallit, Doomsday is a character that I actually, at one point, really wanted RB5. I don't think that he holds up necessarily in the meta. There is a few teams I've really gotten him to work well on, and that is pairing with Saint Walker and Black Mask, because Mask will just throw a taunt on him and call him to assist, and then he'll kind of snowball from there from getting hit so many times, and Saint Walker can call him to assist, and it just kind of hastens the ramping up, and you eventually get to a point where you're not afraid of anyone anymore. But now with like Spectre out there, it's a little difficult to pull off anymore. What are your thoughts on Doomsday, guys?
One thing I will mention, just to follow up on you saying that the 1500 begged him to do it. Back when I was in the Owls, little known fact that I used to have my wings. But one of the things that I was always, I won't say that I wasn't fond of, but just was I felt a lot of pressure from. I think there's a lot of peer pressure among the Owls to take a tune RB5. I think somehow only Burger has managed to be like, no, I'm above that, and nothing you will ever say to me will ever make me take a tune higher than RB4. But in general, there's like a big push, right? Like everybody RB5 or bust.
Huge push.
I was happy to leave that behind when I switched alliances. And then we got there, and there was Doomsday. And, I fell right back into Owl mode, where I was like, man, your name is Doomsday. Like, you can't just let this go. You have to do this. And he did. It seemed like it was always in his plans, and that maybe the rest of us just kind of expedited the process. But shout out to Doomsday. He is a really, really fun guy, and he definitely took it in stride. And I'm glad that he just loves the tune and the character that he has. I won't say anything bad about Doomsday, the tune in game, because whether he's great or not, this was an instance of a player loving a character and just dumping their resources into him, no matter what the kit was or whatever, because they love that character. And I think that that's probably the best reason to ever do it in this game. So huge fan of that, and huge fan of Doomsday. And I'm glad it worked out for him and for the tune.
Before I let Hawkeye chime in here, I want to say that so many people stopped me from doing what you just talked about to Vandal Savage. Like, Vandal Savage.
Okay, but there is a difference between Vandal Savage and Doomsday. There's
Vandal and Ra's al Ghul and the Shazams. I always just kind of really gravitated towards them. I always thought Ra's and Vandal were like beautiful together as far as like immortality goes. And I was this close to pulling the trigger, but then like literally half of the Owls were like 2D. I know that you're kind of an idiot sometimes, but this would be a new level. And I was like, I know, but I want to. Anyway, I just wanted to say that because you totally just described that whole situation, but the opposite way. Hawkeye, what do you have to say about Doomsday?
I just want to say that there's no peer pressure within the house. We only push you to do what you want to do. You wanted to rebirth dead men, Subaz. Don't lie.
To say that there is no peer pressure in the Owls. Wow. Okay. I won't. You know what? I am known for having receipts. I won't bring up any of the receipts right now.
You do have
the other thing is, the bad thing about Burger is, for what he spends on the new tune packs each month, he could rebirth 5 both the tunes for the month.
Right.
Yep.
So it's not a money thing about it for him. It's strictly the crystals.
Right.
To be honest with Doomsday here, I haven't tried to use him in forever. He takes forever to get ramped up. You know, lore wise, I feel like he should be coming out of the gates a lot faster than he does. You know, if you go back to the Death of Superman comic where he made his big debut, he didn't take any time at all to be throwing car doors at Booster Gold and just taking out the whole entire Justice League. He's somebody that, you know, for being the ultimate, as his subtitle is, he's like in the bottom 12 of total power scores when it comes to being L5. Doomsday, I really feel like should be higher power wise, you know, and his kit should just work a little bit faster.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think that like the only reason I can make him work is because I throw every single call assist I have available to me on Doomsday, and I make sure that I hasten his ramp up as quickly as possible to the point where even if Arcus is like super buffed up and he retaliates, then I'm not really scared. The only few people that I am scared about are like the Wonder Girls, the Spectres, the people that keep stripping my stuff away, and that's the thing that I worry about for Doomsday. But if you're not fighting those people, then it's just a matter of time before Doomsday takes over and wins. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on. We've got another classic coming at us. Green.
All right, real
Arrow.
quick before we get to Green Arrow, because we're skipping from D to G, which leads me to the understanding that my Enchantress is no longer a unique RB5. MacWin 77, you really did me dirty, man. I thought I was going to have a chance to talk about my girl, and unfortunately that is not the case. So I'm coming for you, but I hope you enjoy her as much as I do.
I mean, if you want to, we can. I talked about her on the last.
No.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
No, yeah, I'm just gonna have this grudge. Okay, I'm recognizing that you're giving me the opportunity, and I'm saying no. I want to have my grudge. So MacWin, you know, that's it. But yeah, Green Arrow.
It's just you and for now. Next month it will be also me. I will have an RB5 Enchantress. She is
nice. Good.
Yeah, she's the main portion of my heal team, and then after that, I'm diving right into all my Shazams. Actually, while we were talking, the sale for Mary popped up, and I bought all 10 of those packs. So I know she's bugged as fuck right now, but I'm gonna get her RB5 eventually. But yeah, let's move into Green Arrow Emerald Archer. Our player who has him all the way RB5 is oregano, and I almost want to say, you know, like oregano, like the seasoning, #1 from American Alliance. EAGA, you know, the classic red physical character with the original Arrow bro. What do you guys think about him? He's kind of outdated, but also not at the same time. Like, I don't get it.
You know, I don't really use him that often. I guess if I'm sort of messing around in red alerts or something like that, I will sometimes use a comp with Green Arrow and Riddler and Hawk, because all of them make extensive use of agility downs. And I think it's kind of an underrated debuff. You can really kill a team very, very fast if you stack their agility downs like that. And then Riddler gets extra stuns and Hawk gets extra stuns. And so you can really control a whole team with those three. But that being said, you know, Iga to me is another character that I think if they didn't do anything to his kit, if they just bumped his stats up, he would be instantly more viable and potentially part of the meta. But unfortunately, he's just a little bit power crept right now.
Hawkeye.
Yeah, that's 100% right. You know, if you look at his kit, even though he's, you know, one of the OG campaign tunes, I don't think he's ever been reworked.
He has not been.
If you compare his kit to, say, Cyborg's, a lot of his percentages, what he gains, what he purges, it's still relevant in the game where it is nowadays, as opposed to where his kit was originally conceived. So his kit's not completely out of being useful. It's just his stats are just so far out of line.
I think that with the Zod rework, it actually made him a little bit more viable because of the easily spreading of crit chance ups from Zod can help trigger a lot of the EAGA leadership ability as well. So, completely correct on viability. I do think maybe a few tweaks here and there could be useful, but yeah, I think he's still a great character. I think his double tap on his basics still like scares me a little bit. Like I actually feel like it still punches pretty hard.
Yeah, and I think it's in large part because of the agility downs too. But yeah, I mean, I love Green Arrow. Green Arrow. When I was growing up, my two favorite characters were Aquaman and Green Arrow, and it was a total coincidence that they debuted in the same comic in the same month way back when. And it is now the 80th anniversary of that issue coming up this winter here, and hint, hint, WB, that would be a really cool month to do an 80th anniversary month and maybe a rework to Green Arrow and Aquaman. They have a series together that they'll be having as well, which is like right up 8-year-old Zubaz alley. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that, but hopefully it means maybe some reworks in the future.
That would be nice. Get around to some of the older characters for sure. All right, let's move into a Lantern character. I think actually probably one of the more underrated ones out of all of them, and that's Guy Gardner from and Du Bois is our player who has him, one of the more popular streamers, despite the fact that he never actually streams. And he's in the 1500s, so I really do think that Guy Gardner is better than people remember him. The turn 0 crit immunity and potentially damage immunity if you brought other lanterns is actually, I think, a very potent ability. It kind of not necessarily nullifies Aquaman, but it makes him even less of a reason to bring him. And under an Atrocitus lead, I think that he does an ass load of damage. So what do you guys think about Guy Gardner?
So Zubaz, you can go and get your receipts ready. If they ever release the Red Lantern Guy Gardner skin with the porn stash, I'm taking them RB5 right away.
Oh man, yeah.
I will say I think the reason that Guy Gardner's not remembered more fondly from the month that he was released is that hideous legendary skin. Which is comic accurate. It's comic accurate, but Jesus.
I didn't realize it was a Yellow Lantern skin.
Oh. Well, it's accordion, but it's not necessarily Yellow Lantern, I don't believe. It's a very convoluted time in Guy Gardner's history that skin's from. I'd look like Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia if I tried to explain everything to you with the cork.
I love that meme, yeah. I thought his basic costume looks good.
Yeah, his basic looks good.
Guy, man. He can slap is the thing. Like I geared him. Like I'm not a Lantern guy. That's kind of well known. That's where me and Du Bois definitely don't see eye to eye. But I do like Guy Gardner. I used to love his initial series with Justice League International. And so I was like really trying to force myself, and this is a common theme where like, okay, yeah, now Zubaz is doing a Titans team, and now like I try to make these lore-based teams, and I had a Justice League International team with Guy Gardner and Mr. Miracle and World's Greatest Detective and Dr. Fate, and you could get some mileage out of it, but what I noticed was like Guy does some work in this game, so if he ever gets a skin or maybe just like a little tweak here and there, like I think he could really be a top-notch character. I thought that they should have made him a physical-based character to begin with, perhaps, but in general, really, really cool one. And just like Tootie has the dead shot that I'm jealous of, for Du Bois, Guy Gardner would be the only one that I'm actually jealous of.
I think Kilowog and St. Walker are my two on Dubois, but yeah, I completely agree. Also, I just really love the art that Silver Fox put together for this one, and
yeah, it's dope.
he even when he was going through the process of making it, he was the little hue, the colorful hue on the guy Gardner in this image. I think he added that to it, and he added like the red line on his right arm. And I think that's really cool as well. So really enjoy the guy Gardner. I want to bring him out more often. I'm trying to get Atrocitus teams to work again. But yeah, we're going to move into another special RB5 because it is one of Hawkeye's from the Court of Owls is Hawkman, the guy that I think that first introduced you to RB5. Is that correct?
I actually had Lex before him.
Ah, shoot. Talk about Hawkeye or Hawkman. I always mix them up. Whenever I say Hawkman in game, I'm like, oh, that's Hawk.
That is like one of the biggest testaments to Hawkeye's impact on the DC Legends community is everybody does that. Everybody calls Hawkman Hawkeye now because of how preeminent Hawkeye has become. So if you have one lasting impact on the community, it's going to be that.
What a legacy! What a legacy!
Do you still use him often or no?
I don't. I whip him out every once in a while. My biggest issue with him is he's a green.
Mm-hmm.
There's way too many greens. Hawkman, you know, I really when he was released, I was really disappointed he wasn't a red. Not only because you know, I just have so many greens that I use constantly, but also I felt like it would have made him more usable with Hawkgirl. It's hard to pair those two up just because, you know, back when he first came out, Wonder Girl was still a menace.
Mm-hmm.
So running two greens was never a great idea at that point. I also kind of hated when he first came out. He was released alongside Aqualad, who likes changing strength ups to strength downs.
Yeah,
I was like, I can't even get a single month with my favorite character ever before you guys release a counter to him. But no, I mean he's a lot of fun. You know, if you stick him in a team with Darkseid, Hawkgirl, himself, and one other stunner, because Darkseid's constantly allowing everybody to attack twice. He's applying those strength downs. It's making his basic just a guarantee stun, which is going to trigger Hawkgirl. He's very underrated if you can figure out how to lay down more strength downs in a stun team, just because there's not very many constant stuns on basics that are guaranteed, even though it's gated. But no, I mean he's got a super high HP. I really like running him with Cheetah and Stripe when I just want to kind of speed blitz things, because she throws strength ups on both of them, then they just go wild, just knocking opponents out left and right real quick.
You got to be like loving him with Stargirl right now, right? Like that's got to be a huge synergy, no?
Yes. I actually haven't played with those two a ton together. I haven't really used Stargirl much outside of Siege.
Yeah, they seem like they'd be perfect together. I mean, whenever I use Hawkman, I run him with Aqualad, but those two seem good together too.
If only he countered intelligence characters instead of strength-based characters. You might actually have a chance after against Spectre and them if that were the case. But even so, I've always enjoyed Hawkman. I think that he's got sustain, he's got crowd control. His damage isn't the greatest, but it's not bad either. And when he's got the crowd control and the sustain, then the damage will come, you know. So
especially for being a physical tank, he does hit fairly hard.
Right. Zubaz, any extra thoughts? All right. Let's move into Heatwave. This character is owned by Intro Spicere. I will never understand how to say that name. I call him Intro from the Owls. He brought Heatwave up, I think it was like 8 months or so, maybe a year after the debut of Heatwave. And Heatwave is not a bad character by any means. I think his kit is a little simple, but at the same time effective. And the character himself is a lot tankier than I think any of us expected him to be. You can really take a hit and support your team as well. What are you guys' thoughts on Heatwave?
I will share one of my thoughts on Intro, which is I think Intro is a lot of fun. He and I have had a lot of like really long conversations about a lot of stuff, including like his aquarium or the game in general. And the thing about Intro is he really thinks about what he's doing. To the point of almost like paralysis by analysis situation. But what I mean is like when he picked Heatwave, like he has so many ideas of exactly what comps he is using Heatwave in. And his goal that he like shared with me, he's like, I am trying to build the ultimate dick team in Siege. And I was like, okay, man, that's a sure noteworthy goal. Let's do it. And when he was running down with me, like who he thought would be a part of that, I was shocked when he said Heatwave. I was like, I just don't get it that much. And then the way that he laid it out, and he usually runs Heatwave with Cassie Kane, and he really has built a team that is very, very annoying to face. And if you don't know what you're doing, and if you don't do it right, you will absolutely lose. Because people aren't used to seeing Heatwave, right? Like I don't see Heatwave ever outside of like Red Alerts when I run into Intro's team, or in Wraith when I run into Intro's team. And it's this special combo where he's got Cassie Kane, Heatwave, sometimes Darkseid, sometimes Coda, whatever it is. And it's brilliant. It is incredibly brilliant, and props to him for really just thinking it through and putting it together. And his goal is like to RB5 everybody for his dick team comps, and I hope he's able to do it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I've said this a couple times tonight about certain tunes that people have RB5 that I would like to have RB5. Heatwave is right there at the top of that list. That's one thing I really would like for the devs to take a look at, is just making the rogues very synergized. They should all, I feel like they should all feed off of each other, and I feel like they do to an extent, but I think it just needs to be kind of, turned up to 11, where they're able to just get everything cleared off, start laying down bleeds, start laying down speed downs, buff each other up. Keep one of them should be able to keep the heat off of the others. Work, as an actual like heist team, essentially, where they're all working towards a common goal using similar methods.
I like that idea. Whatchamacallit, you've sent me quite a few kits for Flash rogues and stuff, and trying to make them all work together and be effective, and I like that a lot. I also definitely agree that Intro, he doesn't talk often, but when he does, he sends pages of and like when he decides to chime in, it's like, okay, we're gonna get some real good analysis right now, and it's gonna be probably a day's worth of reading. I'll let him finish before I come back, so maybe I'll go eat, I'll take a shower, and then I'll come back, and Intro's got about 6 pages of paragraphs just in the chat. So definitely love him. He's a great part of the Owls, and I love that he picks unique characters like Heatwave to RB5. All right, guys, that is about halfway through this go around. We're gonna cut it here, and we'll play the rest tomorrow. So if you're interested in the rest of the uniques, or you're just hyped to hear what me, Zubaz, and Hawkeye have to say about the rest of them, stick around for part 2 tomorrow of episode 2 of the Rebirth 5 showcase. Thanks, guys.